As a leader, you are responsible to keep growing and grow into your full potential over a lifetime. On the back of your fog cutting arrow, you're going to find a bookcase. Looks like this. Does it ever feel to you like, I've got so much to learn, I don't even know where to begin? I read a book here and watch a tape here, and how does all this fit together? I say, let me give you a framework as a leader for a bookcase that every book you've ever read, every video you've ever watched, every lecture you've ever listened to fits into that bookcase. And it's right here. Everything you've done is either to help you focus your life, ask fog-cutting questions, balance competing priorities, or communicate with confidence. Everything fits in your personal development into one of those four shelves. From an organizational development perspective, it fits in one of these four shelves. Planning your organization's future, building a championship team, generating consistent cash flow, or managing reserves wisely. Again, every book you've ever read fits on one of those 8 shelves. Once you get this in mind, everything you ever encounter fits somewhere. Does that make sense? All right, now, once you've got this in place, one of the first things you want to do is get to where you can focus your thinking quickly. On shelf 1, focusing your life. Today, I'd like to introduce you to the fog cutting arrow. Now, as a leader, one of your primary responsibilities is to have clear thinking. I don't have to tell you that. That's just a given. That's your responsibility. Now, as a follower, it's someone else's responsibility. They come around and tell you, now, here's what you need to do. Here's clear thoughts on this subject. But when you become the leader, no one comes around and tells you, you've got to think clearly about this. Another thing is, you often get to an event thinking you're going to be a guest, and they say, we're happy to have you as the speaker. You ever done that? Where you're coming expecting to do one thing, and they expect a totally different thing from you. You have to have tools that help you clarify your thinking quickly. You're looking as a leader for scalable tools. Tools that this tool, I will guarantee you, could help the president of your nation, whatever nation you come from. The president of your nation could use this effectively all the time. The president of the largest corporation in your country could use this all the time. The president of the largest church, the smallest church, and you personally can use this all the time. It's scalable size-wise, and it's scalable time-wise. In other words, this tool will help you today. It'll also help you 10 years from now. It'll also help you 30 years from now. It doesn't grow old. Unless a tool is scalable size-wise and time-wise, I don't teach it. It has to be something that as you grow as a leader will stay with you. So when you learn one tool or a few tools, as your leadership grows, the tools grow with you. Okay? And then the other thing is that, again, a high percentage of the time in your life right now, you don't have the time you'd like to have to think things through, frankly. You think, I'd like to have a couple days to think this through, and they're expecting a decision in the next hour. And what you're looking for is tools that will help you quickly get focus on something. That's what I'd like to teach you today, is a tool to do that. Basically to clarify any topic quickly, avoiding the frustration of mental fog. Let me tell you why mental fog, is so devastating to you as a leader. I want you to imagine for a minute a car that you may or may not be familiar with. I've just learned about it in the last year or so. It's a Bugatti. I saw one for the first time last week in Berlin. we were window shopping going past the shops, and we went past the Bentley dealer. And we thought, oh, I love to just look at Bentleys. Never own one, but I'd like to look at them. They make a grown man lust. You know, it's like, they make a Christian envy. They're so beautiful. But in the Bentley dealership, they had this Bugatti sports car. Now, the Bugatti sold for 3.5 million euros. A little sports car. But what you have to realize, it has a V16 engine. Not a V8, not a V12, a V16. It'll go 245 miles an hour, street legal on the Autobahn. That's a lot of automobile. But let's say you're driving that car along at, let's say, even 200 miles per hour. And you come over a hill and there's a deep fog patch at the bottom of the hill. What's the smartest thing to do? There's always someone in the crowd that says, speed up. But we all know that's not true. That when you hit the edge of a deep fog, you can't go over a mile an hour, regardless of the horsepower under the hood. Or in this case, in the back of you. It's right in the back of you. Regardless of the amount of mental horsepower you have, regardless of your IQ, you cannot lead very fast in any direction if you're lost in a fog, a mental fog. Other than Satan himself, I believe fog to be your #1 enemy as a leader. Because when the fog clears, you can take the team fast in the direction you're headed. The #2 enemy is fatigue. If you operate too long in a fog, you burn up all your fuel on a V16, you burn up all your fuel going 1 mile an hour. And you get exhausted. And what is easy when you're rested seems impossible when you're exhausted. Vince Lombardi, a great football coach in America, said, fatigue makes cowards of us all. And I add to that, it turns us introspective and negative. We begin questioning ourselves. And when we're rested, we question ourselves. We do self-assessments and we say, am I the person for this job? And you think, I think I am. But when we're exhausted, we question ourselves and we think, am I the person for this job? And we think, I don't think so. I don't think I've got what it takes to lead this kind of an organization. We become introspective and negative. And that leads us to the #3 enemy, which is flirtations. Not sexual flirtations only, but flirting with ideas you should not flirt with. Flirting with the idea of, I think I'll just resign. I've had clients that have resigned when they should never have resigned. They were simply exhausted. They wished later they had never resigned. But they flirted with ideas because they were so exhausted. So what you need as a leader is a tool that will clear your head out of mental fog quickly, anytime, anywhere for the rest of your life. That's what this is. Now let me show you something. In America, during the Bill Clinton administration, the Clinton administration was known for having the ability, when they had an issue come up during the week, that by the weekend on all the talk shows, their team would be saying the same thing. They would have the party line down. And if you heard the Secretary of Defense talk, and if you heard the Secretary of the Interior talk, they'd be saying the same things on the same issues. Everybody wondered, how did they do that so fast? Let me show you how they did it. Someone explained to me that they'd basically take a triangle, and they'd basically take, what are the top 10 issues we'll be dealing with this weekend on the talk shows? Then they say the top 10, and they'd say, take each one of those and say, what are the top 3 positions our administration would like to take on those top 10 issues? They say our number one point, if they give us 2 minutes, we'll make this point. If they give us 4 minutes, we'll make this point. And if they give us 6 minutes, we'll make that point. I thought, genius. The next day after I heard this, I had some time in a hotel So we had a pool, like the pretty one here, pretty pool here in Wisla. I took 75 issues through that process. It worked every single time. Fast. So what are my thoughts on, what are the top 3 thoughts? Drew the triangle, what are the top 3 thoughts? I drew 75 triangles, not just think, well, I can do away with the triangle now. No. My mind needed to picture a triangle for some reason. When I got the triangle pictured, the top 3 thoughts came quickly. And they came in the right order. I mean, it's like when you see it, then you can decide the order very quickly. So I sorted out at 75 issues, number 1 point, number 2 point, number 3 point. It was shocking how powerful and how strong and how quick it was. By the way, this may be the one tool I've used more than any other in the last 10 years, or 10 to 15 years, to focus my own thinking. I've got the senior pastor of a major church in Denver, or Dallas, who is on national radio, national television, has a national radio and television ministry, told me 2 weeks ago, I never go to a national television interview but what I use this tool to focus what I want to do on that program. What I found was, though, that I thought, you know, a pyramid is an inert geometric figure. I thought, what if you just tip it on its end? You've got an arrow, which is a much more dynamic figure. And I thought, what if you put a shaft, and the shaft is your number 1 point, and then an arrow is actually like a razor blade edges. They let it penetrate the target. The shaft is what gives it power, but the razor blades are what let it penetrate. And so then I put point number 2 up here and point number 3 down here. It became a lot more powerful. And a lot of pastors say I had a 3-point sermon. You have never had a 3-point sermon, folks. You've had a 1-point sermon with 2 supplemental points. Go back to every sermon you've ever preached and you'll find that that's true. You had 1 point you were really trying to make and 2 just that were supplementing it and complementing it. And then I realized an arrow always needs a target. And what I've seen since is that what you want to do is first define in a single word, if I could put into a single word, what question am I trying to answer? Should I move? Should I take the job? Should I hire someone? Should I fire someone? What's got your mind in a mental fog at the minute? And what question are you trying to answer? Or what statement are you trying to make? Everything in the target is either a question or a statement. Then you put that into a single word. Like, for example, in a leadership meeting the other night, we heard the person who is developing a program to develop the youth of Poland, to reach the youth of Poland. That's a statement. We want to reach the youth of Poland. So then you come back to the triangle, and let's say you say, well, that would take leadership. That would take, let's say, it would take great music to reach youth, and it would take network or social relationships to when the kids come to make sure that they had someone there that would be friends with them and like that. And then you look and you say, I think the first thing is leadership. The second thing is probably music to draw them. And once they get there, we need some kind of social program that would let them network with other youth and want to come back. I could give a talk in 5 minutes of just saying, all right, if my target is youth in Poland, what is the first, second, and third point? It's like, now, if I thought about it for a week, I may come up with 3 additional ones or 3 different ones, or may come up with, may change one out. But I'm telling you, on any subject, you can come up with 3 if you're going to talk in 5 minutes. By saying, what's the subject? And often I'll ask my client, I'll say, going into a meeting, if we could only accomplish one thing in this meeting, what do you want me to accomplish in a word or a quick phrase? Is it motivate? Is it decide? Is it what do you want to accomplish in this meeting? What's the main point you want me to make? Once I've got that point, draw the triangle, and I can take a 3x5 card that I always carry with me, put the arrow there, the target there, the arrow there, the point, the 3 points, and I've got my talk outline right there in 2 or 3 minutes. That is the way you can take anything in your thinking and clarify it in a very short period of time. And again, the president of your nation could do the same thing. And this tool will last you the rest of your life. I would encourage you, you don't need 75 things, but I encourage you to when you get a break, take 10, 20, 30 things through it. Just try it out. Give it a trial spin. You're going to find that it'll clear your mind out very quickly. And then what you do is, if you want to take leadership as a separate subject and you want to break that down further, take leadership and do the same thing with that. And say, what are the 3 main points I want to make on leadership? And what are the 3 main points I want to make on music? And what are the 3 main things we have to do here? So it just keeps breaking down. If you want to write a book, what's the main point of the book? What are the 3 main points of the book? And then how does that break down into chapters? You can take anything you're doing, clarify it very quickly. That is the fog cutting arrow. Because, don't ever forget, other than Satan himself, your 3 main enemies in this order of priority are fog, fatigue, and flirtations. And what causes you to be fatigued and start flirting with ideas you should never flirt with is mental fog. What causes you to go slow compared to what you could go leading your team is fog. And this is the best tool I've seen to fight mental fog.